Shemai, Shemai. So now you can hear me because I could hear my bass just then. You could hear my bass just then, but the microphone overhead wasn't picking anything up because I'm using the Xvive U45 wireless in-ear transmitter. So Xvive recently contacted me asking me could they send a set of these for me to review. I have looked at other Xvive and I own other Xvive products already. For example, I've already got the U4 in-ear monitor system. Today I'll be using the Xvive U2 guitar wireless system, and to use the in-ear monitor system I'm going to be using my T9s, also Xvive in-ear monitors. So what comes in the box? You get your transmitter, which is an XLR, or with the adapter that's included, you can use it with a jack plug. You get your receiver that would clip onto your trousers or onto your belt, and that's what you plug your headphones or your in-ear monitors into. It comes with a charging cable. It's 2 USB-Cs into 1 USB-A, which makes it really handy to charge. And it comes with a nice little case to pop everything into. Price-wise, these are coming in around about the £200 mark. Okay, the grey version, I think there's a black one as well. They are slightly cheaper than the orange. So they're not the cheapest monitor systems, but I think relatively priced, they're pretty good. There are way more expensive wireless in-ear monitor systems out there. So yeah, around about the £200 mark. What's the point of using these? Well, they can get rid of things, all right? These can get rid of cables, first of all. They can actually get rid of monitor speakers, okay? The monitor speakers that you have at the front of a stage that sort of give the music back to the musicians, these can actually replace those. How do you use them? Well, you can plug the transmitter basically into any sound source, whether it's an amplifier, a mixer, a pedal. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But anything that's a sound source, like a speaker, and it's got an XLR or it's got a jack output, you can plug this in. And as I said, you use the receiver to plug in your monitors, but it can be anything. You don't have to use Xvive. You don't even have to use in-ear monitors. You can actually use headphones. So what's the difference between the older U4 system and the newer U45 system? The big one, this was 2.4 gigahertz. The newer one is 5.8 gigahertz, which means there's a lot less clutter in the wireless system world. Okay, so also these are orange. They didn't do different colors in the other one, but these do come in the original grey color as well. And I think another difference, I think the older ones were about 90 feet. These ones supposedly have a range of 100 feet. I can't say I've tested it, but 90 or 100 feet is a big stage. But remember, with anything wireless, try not to get things in between you, in other words, the receiver and the transmitter. So how have I been using these? Well, first of all, silent practice. I can plug these into my headphone sockets on an amp or a pedal and practice silently. Now with my amp, I can literally use the DI out of this one because this is a head amp. I don't need to plug it into a cab then. And then with my monitor system, I can practice silently just using a little head amp plugged straight out of the DI at the back. But something I discovered really recently because I was away, okay, is I was in the motorhome and fancied doing a bit of practice. I could have gone and got an amp, but I had this in the motorhome and I thought, hang on a second. So I managed to plug a DI, okay, DI box or preamp pedal, because this has got a battery in it. And then what I did was put my transmitter in the back of that, and I could practice silently in the van, literally with that, which is just brilliant for travel when you think about it. As I said, I've been using it with my little head amp, but I've also been using it with my big guitar, Boss Katana amp as well for practice, because nobody wants to hear me practice in electric ukulele. All right, so yeah, they're really useful for home practice as well as being on stage and using them for monitoring purposes. So it's not just amps they're useful with, you can use them with PA systems, all right? Plugging them into a mixer, you can either plug them into one of the main outputs and get the whole feed coming through your monitors, or you can actually pop one of these into an auxiliary send and be able to choose what instruments you're hearing. So for example, if I only wanted to hear drums, bass and vocals, all right, I could just do that on an auxiliary send rather than having the full mix through the monitors. But you could also plug these through a speaker, actually a PA speaker. You could plug them into a headphone socket of something as well. Okay, so basically any sound source which has either got an XLR or a jack output, you can connect it up with your receiver. Very useful. You can buy different sets of these. Obviously, this one is a receiver and a transmitter. This is a general set, but you can get it where you get a transmitter and 2 receivers, or a transmitter and 4 receivers. So you imagine if you're in a duo, for example, you could have it where you've got 1 transmitter and 2 receivers. So there are different sets available. I've got to mention just the quality of these. They feel really good quality. They're quite heavy, all right? It's metal, so these are going to last quite a while. And it's very difficult when you're doing a video like this. I can't actually show you what I'm hearing through my monitor systems, but I promise you they're a really clean, clear sound. The actual specs of these, you get up to 5 hours usage before they need recharging. Under 5 milliseconds latency. You do not notice any delay when you're playing with these. Up to 100 feet range, that's a big stage. And with the included adapter, you can of course use it as an XLR or a jack input. And just like when I discovered in the motorhome about using a pedal, a couple of weeks ago we had a very, very warm spell of weather. I do a lot of teaching online and I was sat in this room which does get a little bit warm with my big headphones on. It just got too warm and I suddenly thought, hang on a second. So what I did was plugged my transmitter into the back of my Rodecaster Pro, which is my Rode audio interface that I use for making videos and teaching and things like that. Got hold of my receiver, put in-ear monitors in. What a difference. Suddenly then I was nowhere near as warm as wearing big headphones. And of course, they do look a little bit better as well in-ear monitors rather than big headphones sometimes. So yeah, I've used it with amps, I've used it with mixers, I've used it with pedals, and I've used it with my audio interface now as well. So yeah, I have discovered loads of new ways of using it that I'd never really thought of before. So lots of pros with a system like this. You can get rid of cables and you can even get rid of actual speakers, the monitor speakers. You do get an excellent quality of sound off these. Honestly, you can hear things. And as well, if you're on a very loud stage, wearing in-ear monitors actually protects your own hearing a little bit as well. So visually and for comfort, using in-ear monitors sometimes is a much better option than wearing big, heavy headphones. Very, very easy to set up, especially now with the automatic channel choice, all right? You literally plug these in, switch them on, and away to go. Great for silence practice and brilliant for travel. There are a couple of cons with these. The main ones that I've noticed is you miss feeling the bass, all right? Especially you might sort of feel air and things coming through a big speaker, all right? There are ways around it, but yeah, sometimes you miss having that sort of boom bass feel. And you do have to be careful with wireless interference. Now, if you always rehearse in the same space or you often go to the same venues, you can probably turn up and think, yeah, I've used it before. But you've always got to check very, very carefully that there isn't any interference because of the wireless. So a couple of little tips just before I go. First of all, talking of tips, all right, I discovered this. Use different colours in your right and left earpieces. It makes life so much easier when you're picking them up to put them on. And talking about putting them on, I generally, if I'm on stage or I'm playing bass, I will put these down the back of my t-shirt, all right, so you don't see wires down the front. But it took me a while to get used to actually wearing in-ear monitors inside. I always thought I had a weird shaped ear, okay? It's not. When you put them on, all right, you pop them in, and the secret is to pull your ear, all right? Pull it out. Like that, and what happens is your in-ear monitor then sort of forms a seal inside it. I can't hear anything out of this one now, but it's so much easier. So you literally pop it like that, pull your ear up and down. Now I actually can't hear very much now because I've got these in. Oh, that's better. But yeah, don't be frightened to pull your ears around a little bit to get these in and out. So I've got to say, it has been great fun. And I think as I said, I've used in-ear monitors for a while now. I think it's about 2 years ago. Xvive sent me these. But over this time, I've sort of got used to using them. And this time round, I've actually discovered some new things, like using a pedal. Great for travel. Thank you, Xvive, for sending me your U45 system, and especially the fact it's in orange. I absolutely love it, and I hope you appreciated the orange paisley bass that I was matching these two as well. So a massive thank you, Xvive. Awesome. I do hope you have found this video useful and helpful. If you'd like to support me here on the channel, I have got a Patreon site, and I'll pop a link in the description below for that. As always though, if you've got any comments or questions, please feel free, leave them below. Give us a like if you've enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on new videos. Thank you for watching.